Hi, I'm Jay. I made this for my son using MDF, some casting resin, and spray paint, and of course, a computer-controlled router. I'll show you how I did it. In part 1, I showed you how to do the digital design. In this video, I'm going to show you how to convert that SVG file into G-code that you can run on your mill. Part 3 will show you running it on the mill, and Part 4 will show you the hand finishing of everything. I'm using MakerCam, which is a Flash-based website that can convert SVG files into G-code. There's other CAM software that will do this same thing. So I just opened my SVG file, and because it was loaded with the 00 origin in the center of it, I need to zoom out, put my mouse in the center, and then zoom back in so that we can see everything here. Now, we have 3 areas that we're going to do a pocket operation. This top of the Pokeball, the bottom that matches it, and the centerpiece here. And all 3 of those are going to be cut out a little way, a pocket, but not all the way through our material. The outside edge, we're going to do a profile cut where we cut the whole thing out of our material. Because the 3 centerpieces are going to be cut to the same depth and the pocket is going to be the same depth, I'm actually able to do all 3 of those at the same time. So I have to do some fancy shift clicking here to select all 3 of these at once. And we'll be cutting those to 1/10 of an inch deep. I've found that's deep enough so that the resin will fill in and the color looks well, but it's not so deep that it takes multiple passes. I can do 1/10 of an inch in just a single pass, so it makes things go faster. So I select the 3 areas that have a similar pocket that we're going to be taking out of. You use the CAM option here for the pocket operation. I actually forgot the center, so I'm going to select the center and the top and the bottom. And then we go to the CAM menu. In the CAM menu, we select the pocket operation. And here, pocket 1 is a good enough default name. The tool diameter is 1/4 inch. The target depth is not 0.75. Our material is 0.75. If I was cutting through, I'd go to 0.80, but since I'm doing a pocket, I'm doing 1/10 of an inch down to -0.1. The safety height by default is 0.5. That's way too high. I'm changing that to 0.25 so it doesn't lift up too far for my router. The stock surface, the top of the surface is at 0. The step over percentage is 40%. That means 40% of this thing is over the last cut. The step down, I'm going to go down to 0.10. So what that means is my target depth and my step down is the same, which means it'll step down a single time and carve out a pocket that's 1/10 of an inch thick all the way through. If I had something like 0.5, it would do 2 passes to get down to the 1/10 of an inch. And the feed rate and the plunge rate, those are all fine, and the direction it goes is really up to you. So you can see it kind of says, hey, we're going to cut a pocket out of these 3 areas. Then I select the outside, and we're going to do a profile here, and that means go all the way around and cut it out. So I use profile operation. Profile 2 is a fine name. It's the same bit, 0.25. I changed the target depth to 0.80. That's 0.05 deeper than my actual material, so your bit will be going down into your waste board. So I'm using a piece of foam behind my actual MDF board to cut into, and this makes sure that we cut everything out. Again, the safety height, I think 1/4 inch is more than enough. The surface starts at 0, and my step down, I need to make a bigger number. I'm actually going to use 0.2, so I'm going to do 2/10 of an inch each time around. Nice thing about 2/10 of an inch is 4 2/10 is 0.8 of an inch, and so it'll basically be 4 different passes to get down to my final depth. The feed rate and the plunge rate at 60 and 30 are fine. So once I hit OK here, we have all of our operations defined. Now we just need to generate the tool paths. So I go to CAM, I say, hey, calculate all the tool paths. And it takes a little while. It has to figure out how it's going to move your router bit around to do the pocket operations and then go around and profile cut the whole piece out. Now, after this is done, you can kind of see, hey, it's going to cut around through here. It's going to go to the center there and go back and forth until it cuts the whole thing out. And you can see it's going to go around the outside of this, and so the edge of that bit will cut right at that 8-inch circle. So the only thing left to do is to select the toolpath on the profile. It's okay if you select the red circle as well, but what you really need to get selected is the toolpath. So it's not enough to have just the red circle selected. So what I typically do is I'll click outside of the area to unselect everything and then make sure I select that toolpath, the blue one. Then you can just go up to your CAM menu, and in the CAM menu there's a tool that allows you to add tabs, and those tabs will keep this piece from falling away and running into the bit. And I'm going to put tabs every 5 inches. Later I can delete some of those if I want. The tab width needs to be adjusted to be larger than your bit. I did a 1/2 inch here. That'll actually make 1/4 inch tabs because it takes the width of your bit out of the tab. And then the height of my tab I set to 0.2, and that's exactly one of my passes. And so that way the tab will be entirely contained on the bottom pass. The actual tab width is probably going to be 0.15 because this pass goes through the back of my material by 0.05 inches. So when you hit OK, it's going to make a lot of tabs, and you can move these tabs around by selecting them, and you can delete them. However, I've found that for deleting them, you need to unselect everything, and then you need to select the tab you want to delete and push the delete button. All right, so you click outside of the area to unselect. Here I selected everything and then unselected everything. You click on the tab, you press delete, and you can delete them. Now I'm going to leave 2 tabs so that I can move them around and have one at the top and bottom. So to move it, you just click on it to select it and then drag, and it'll move along the toolpath. So I'll leave this one at the top, the other one roughly at the bottom. You could put 3 in if you wanted more. I've found 2 works fine for me. Once you've done all this, all you have to do is export everything. And notice nothing is selected here, so you have to make sure that both of these operations are selected. So I've hit the select all button in the bottom right, or you could individually select the ones you wanted. The 0.25 is the size of the bit. We're using the same bit for both operations. So they're both selected. You hit export the selected toolpaths, you save the part, and at that point you're done. And you can close the website if you want to. In the part 3 video, I'll show you how to run this G-code on your mill or router.